Hi guys, this is my database lab code here. I had a lot of issues with AWS going into it. Setting that up took a lot of time yesterday and on Friday night. But basically, going in here, most of my code is copied off the professor's stuff in his like demo. So up until basically right here, this returns, everything's almost identical to his stuff. Um, I used so repository.save was saving each of these basically entries into the database. Um, I have two of the vehicle type, one of electric car, one of hybrid car, and one of gas car. So that lets we'll see that basically show up later. Um, how that kind of changes slightly in the database by the name. Down here we have my method calls, and we pass the repository we're using to each of the methods, and then we also pass the ID for this one for searching by ID. We pass the name, we pass the number of seeds, we pass the mileage. In the case of the mileage, it's that or less basically. So we're doing like kind of like checking if the vehicle entries have less than that amount of miles. Um, these are my methods. They basically use just kind of similar stuff to what the professor had kind of set up, but I use an if else as well to double check and make sure, like in this case, uh, is the repository, does it contain anything? And same with basically all of these. I used a list as well to hold um, the vehicles. So yeah, list here and then an optional here. So we're kind of going, each one of them has like a little list basically to hold the what we basically found in each of the with the different like searches, and we use for loops as well to basically display them using log.info, and then toString. And our toString are custom toStrings. When we go to each class, it has an override to display um, basically a custom message instead of just, I think it was a hash code, if I remember correctly, which was not readable for us. So this is something I saw Tim do in his code. Uh, I think it wasn't done by the professor in the demo, if I remember correctly. So credit to Tim with this stuff. Each one has its own, and yeah, for the gas car, it's like slightly different because it wants to show the fuel level, an electric car, battery charge. That's just like a show, like demonstration how you can change them. But in this case, they're all 0, I believe, because we never actually like increase the battery charge on any of the vehicles or modify it when we create the entries into the database. My vehicle repository is basically using the Spring Data JPA to generate the necessary queries using these like names, I guess. I don't really understand how it works entirely. Just giving this, it seems to have known like how to set up like a less than. So I think it's some kind of magic. Like I think the Spring Data JPA is doing most of the heavy lifting here. And we just need to, I guess, like again, this is my method. It's not. There's no instance where it's doing a check for less than. So somehow it knows how to do it. If we go into, yeah, so my vehicle tab, we're also using entity. So that's sets like each class. So in this case, it's the vehicle class as a JPA entity. So it's like shown up in the table in the database. And then inheritance here, the at inheritance strategy basically allows all subclasses to be contained in the same column as this vehicle, so they're not having separate columns. Even though it's a different um, type, we want it all subclasses of the like the gas car, the electric car, that we want to show them in that same column in the database. and then ID and generated value will create a auto incrementing key for each entry in the database. So again, I don't know exactly how it does it, but it just does. And then in let's see here. Yeah, so if we check, like, we use entity in these ones as well in all the 3 other car types. So they'll show up as a like a they'll show up in the like the in the same column, because of the inheritance. Um, let's see. Yeah, I think the professor asked if we to use CRUD repository, so we're using that here in the as in a basically vehicle repository is an extends CRUD repository. So that's this vehicle, and then we're passing, I guess, like our own vehicle and then integer. So I guess in this case it's the ID. Um, again, I'm not. This is like stuff that I don't really understand because we haven't. I feel like I need a lot more time with this. Uh, this whole Spring data stuff. Um, that's basically it for my code. If we do a couple things, so let's run it first. Let's see. So if I run this, okay, click the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. So it's finish. It needs to shut down first, and then it's going to show. Yeah. So down here, we have the find all. So it's putting all 5 different entries. Find by ID 3. If we go up here, the third entry is Chevrolet here, so that's the third ID. Acura, we search by the name. It contains Acura over here at the top. Find by number of seats 5. There's 2 with number of seats with 5. Acura and the Chevrolet. And then less than 20,000 miles, it's showing these 3. So, and if you changed it, so let's say the method call, where is it? Here, if we do test instead, and we rerun it, it's going to give us that error message that we wanted. Takes a second. There we go. Yeah, so no vehicle found with, and then find by manufacturer name test. So yeah, that's basically it. That's the code working, and then if we go to the table here, this is showing you have your data type. So we have vehicle, electric car, hybrid car, gas car, all in the same column. We have the IDs. We have the manufacturer name. I changed this actually because I didn't understand where it was getting. I see all these guys are in what is that, snake case, but my names and stuff are always in camel case. So I don't know how it ends up like that. If anyone else knows, please let me know. But yeah, here I did at column, and then you can, I guess, override the name. So you can change this to be whatever you want. And you could change each of these column names to be different too in the database, which is kind of cool. And then, yeah, some of the entries don't contain, like, if it's a vehicle type, it doesn't ever ask for the number of doors. Only our subclasses were doing that because I guess the car class, which I forgot to go over, but yeah, the car class is number of doors. And then all of these extends car. So electric car, gas car, hybrid car are a type of car, so they get number of doors, while the vehicle ones don't. Battery charge, fuel level, those are also things that are dependent. So electric car gets one, fuel, gas car gets one, and then the hybrid gets both, and they're both 0 in this case. Um, so yeah, I think that's everything. As far as like improving the code, I think we have a lot of logs. Uh, that would probably be something that you wouldn't want. I think like in this case I did it for readability, just like how Tim had set it up and the professor had set it up. But in reality, you wouldn't really want all these logs, especially if you had a massive database. It would definitely add like time to the displaying things, I guess. Um, I'm not sure how else you could improve this. I'm sure there's like you could also set it up so maybe the save is set up differently. But this is as far as in the limits of the lab here. I think this is good enough. Anyways, thank you so much.